on, y'all? You already know what it is. It's Crew, aka a Rainy Storm, checking in for Jupiter and Gemini. Jupiter and Gemini transit that we will be having May 25th of this month to June 9th, 2025. Okay, it's going down. Okay, it is about to go down. All right. So before we get started, you already know I have to come through with announcements. First and foremost, let me get my things together. Okay. Is the camera on me? Is the light on me? Let's talk a little bit about announcements first. A little couple announcements that I do have for this transit, and then we will talk a little bit about the energy of Jupiter and Gemini. No, we'll do this. Instead of talking about the energy of Gemini first, we'll talk about the events that happen during Jupiter and Gemini. Okay, now I'm Jupiter and Gemini out. Okay, no, we're gonna talk about the energy of Jupiter and Gemini. We're also going to talk about the things that Gemini, I should say, rules, as far as like body parts, as far as like expression, and then we'll talk about some of the things that have happened in the past during this transit. And then we will go into some other things as well. Just overall, what we can be experiencing during this specific Jupiter and Gemini transit, okay? So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. I'm kind of doing things differently, as you can see. But I really wanted to talk about Jupiter and Gemini because I don't know, for some reason, it could be the Geminian in me, you know, deep down in my soul, my fourth house, my spirit. But I love this energy. I know that Jupiter and Gemini, for one, you know, we would talk about in Western culture, I guess, or tropical astrology, we would talk about it being in its quote unquote detriment, because it's the opposite of Sagittarius, which is in full in Sagittarius. But I don't know. It can be slightly chaotic. Slightly, right? But at the end of the day, I think it can be used for such a creative, expressive, very beautiful kind of childlike energy, and I love it. So anyway, let's go ahead and get to the announcements really quick. First and foremost, if you haven't already, make sure that you follow me on my Substack. All information, all posts that are not in the community tab on YouTube, if you don't see that on YouTube for my updates, will be posted on Substack and will be delivered straight to your email. It's a free subscription. I have both. I have a paid subscription, free subscription, but I haven't posted anything, you know, whatever, on the paid thing on it. So everything's free, just all updates there. Also, too, I did release a new episode of the podcast. So if you want to listen to my experience last time Jupiter was in Gemini, you can definitely go check out the podcast, and that link is also below. Also to offerings, okay, and then I'll get into my courses. I am currently offering, now I know I talked about donation based the last time we talked, but I'm only now offering barter and trade and paid readings. And the readings that I am going to be doing is evolutionary astrology readings. So if you're interested in that, you can check that out. Also general readings, so general channeled messages from your birth chart and things like that. And I'll also be doing astrocartography readings as well. And yes, it's like, oh my God, astrocartography. Yes, the best places to live, work, stay, and travel. And I think Jupiter and Gemini, especially specifically, I think for me and just the world, it's going to be a beautiful thing to really expand on and talk about, because, you know, Gemini rules short distance travel or just traveling to a new place. So if you're interested in that, you can definitely hit me up for that. I also do have courses available. The newest course, or the latest course I should say, is healing your chironic wounds, specifically in the Aries part of your chart. So if you're interested in those courses as well, that's also available. All that information is down below in the description box, but you definitely want to go ahead and check that out. I'm trying to think, is there anything else that I want to announce? I don't think I have any more announcements. No, not at this moment. If I think about something, then I'll bring it up to y'all. But other than that, yeah, hit me up. Oh, also too, one more thing. I need to post this, but I haven't posted this. If you are interested in one-on-one teaching astrology, like if you're interested in like having one-on-one sessions to learn deeper parts of astrology. I'm also going to be offering that as well. And honestly, yeah, I'm going to have to update my scheduler and things like that. But if you're interested in taking like a one-on-one course, I'm also going to be available for that. Limited availability for that, but I'm definitely available to that. So just email me or just contact me directly and we can go from there. All right. And also available for speaking engagements as well and courses and things. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about Jupiter and Gemini, the energy of Jupiter and Gemini. First and foremost, Jupiter is the energy of expansion, right? This is the energy of philosophy. This is where we see our ancestry, our, in-laws. You could see with Jupiter energy or Jupiterian energy. Jupiter rules over Sagittarius and also rules over Pisces. This is where we talk about spirituality. This is also where we talk strongly about faith, having faith in something divine, having faith in things that you cannot see, having faith in the things that you cannot touch. Okay, it's just a knowing. It's an inner knowing here. This is also where philosophies are also built. This is where you can also see where we see higher education and knowledge, philosophy, religion. So all these things, and like I said, it expands whatever it touches, for better or for worse. So with it in Gemini, okay, we start to see these forms of different forms of communication. And Gemini, the energy of Gemini, rules over, specifically when we're talking about the body, the hands, I don't know why I wanted to say the lymphatic system, but it's not the lymphatic system. Gemini rules over the hands, it rules over the shoulders, it rules over the lungs, it rules over the vocal cords, it rules over the bronchial system, and it rules over I think it's called what is it called? Let me see if I wrote it down. Calibraries. What is the calibraries? The calibraries. Calibraries, something like that. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Somewhere in that area of the throat. All right, it's a speaking voice. It is mercurial energy. It's communication. Okay. I'm sorry, y'all. I got this top on and I need y'all to see my top. It's cute. That's why I'm trying to adjust it, because it look, looking good, Anyway, so yes, those are the spaces and places that Gemini specifically rules, on the body. Okay, so if we're talking about Jupiter expanding these parts, what we can end up seeing is people talking more, expressing themselves more. Gemini talks about, even honestly, I know this is not necessarily Mars energy for real, but them fighting words. We might be seeing the great debaters in this period in time, people just kind of talking and connecting, because Gemini connects people. Gemini connects people through different forms of communication. The great connectors, even, if you will. Independent media is also a thing, because Gemini rules the media. It also, Pisces rules the media, but Gemini also rules the media as well. We can also start to see in this specific time, because Gemini rules your immediate environment, the things that are going on around you. Honestly, I like to think of Geminian energy like a child or a baby, or the twins, right? Because Gemini is the twin archetype. Kind of when you first start gaining these different senses and things. We could talk about Taurus here too, because that's when Aries is the head, and then you have Taurus, and then Gemini. Gemini is getting acquainted or acclimated to the world around it. It starts to kind of put two and two together, oh, if I touch this is hot. Or if I cry, then maybe I can get what I want, or, just being awakened to the world and the senses and things like that. Now, like I said, Taurus kind of rules the senses because it's Venusian energy, but Gemini is when all the dots start to connect and put two and two together, and it's oh, this goes, so you could definitely see that with Gemini here. Like I said, all forms of communication, divination. This is the divine messenger. This is where you know, messages traveling back and forth, and not just traveling back and forth through text message and media, but text messages from the divine, messages of the divine, messages of spirit, messengers of spirit. Okay, Gemini was and is the messenger of the sun. Okay, Mercury is the messenger of the sun, which Gemini is ruled by Mercury. You know, so I think of it in like emperor times, when, you know, the messengers like galloping, you know, across the board, and it's like, hear ye, hear ye, you know, or, you know, whatever language, and they're like, you know, I have a message from the other kingdom, and da 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 da, and they're like going off about what it is that they've discovered, what it is that they known, and things like that. And they're just really, you know, they're always moving. Also, too, Gemini is very nomadic as well. Very, very nomadic. It's not to say that you don't have a home, but like, they're movers. They move. They're, a lot of times it can be even feeling a little restless in this energy, because your mind is always on go. You know, Gemini is like the mental, it's the mind. It's, you know, constantly putting two things together. It's like the small facts or the actual factual. That's why Jupiter and Gemini sometimes can be seen more so in, like, I would say it's fall. Is it fall or detriment? I think it's in its detriment, because it's the opposite of Sagittarius. Is because Gemini is kind of like lasered in on the facts, when Sagittarius doesn't necessarily have to have all the facts. It just kind of like, you know, it just kind of knows. You know, this is the type of energy where Sagittarius just kind of knows, because it is a messenger of spirit. Not to say that Gemini is not a messenger of spirit. Gemini is getting these downloads from spirit, right? It's getting like this knowledge from spirit, but at the same time, Gemini is also like, let me go read about it. Let me go, you know, or just taking information from its greater environment and things like that, and taking it as is. And I just want to say, before I start to read off some of the things that were happening on this last Geminian transit, which was in June of 2012 to June of 2013, information, okay, you have to take information and what you see with a grain of salt. Discernment is going to be a huge thing during this time period, because there's going to be, especially with Jupiter expanding, there's going to be so much information being pushed out, and people talking about this over here, and people talking about this over here, da 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 da. Even media, you know what I'm saying? Like, Gemini rules the media and things like that. So stories about this going on over here, stories about that going on over here. You know what it reminds me of? And I have to bring this up because, you know, the season is about to start, and the season is about to drop for Bridgerton. If you don't watch Bridgerton, I'll talk about why this means this. But, like, I mean, granted, Penelope had the tea. She had the tea. But, you know, when, you know, the messages come out and, you know, everybody's reading the tea, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. And it's like, who's to say who got the facts or not, when it's coming from a certain person's perspective? You know what I mean? Like, who's saying you getting the real news when it's coming from somebody's specific perspective? Okay, so you just have to be discerning of what information that you're taking in, and if that information is actually in alignment with what it is that you feel and believe. If something feels off, it's probably because it is, okay? So just keep that in mind as we are moving through this Gemini, Jupiter and Gemini transit here, okay? So some of the things that I wrote down, we talking about mental expansion. We're talking about communication lines either being clear or very blurred. Who's to say? It's the eye of the beholder, the messenger of the beholder, right? This is where we talk about movement and travel, of course, learning, teaching. Also, too, like I said, could be overstimulated. So just, you know, try to find ways as we're going to this transit to grounds. The song that's actually popping up in my head right now, and you can also get messages like that, like musical messages, or like I don't know, musicians. You can see a lot of people like starting to play instruments or wanting to express themselves creatively through music and things like that. I know that the music is going to change, because the last time In 2012, 2013, I mean, it was a whole era, like from like 2009 to like 2015, or even 2010 to like 2015. The music was crazy. Like the music was like on key. I mean, if you don't believe me, please go back to that point in time when music was dropping during that time, because it was like nothing that I've seen. I'm missing my bracelets. Hold on. Oh shit. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. I like to look good when I'm doing my thing. I mean, I look good, but I'm like, I'm missing something on me. My bracelets, my little squiggles. Okay, so anyway, so Gemini, all over the place. Literally, take some time to ground. Okay, take some time to ground. If you need to walk away, because Gemini is talking and in conversations. If you need to walk away from a disagreement, please walk away, because you're gonna want to talk it down. And one situation, especially through communication, can turn into something that it doesn't need to turn into. Okay, so if you can, take time to walk away from situations that are not necessarily serving. All right. And if it's not even just serving, maybe you just need to take a break and come back to it. Because Gemini will want to argue somebody down in this period of time. The Gemini want to talk. Well, also too, I want to say before I jump into what I was, I say scattered energy, plenty of ideas, curious, wonder, nomadic, rise of the great thinkers in the hands. I also want to say, what was I about to say? So we're not even here yet, and I swear, I forgot what I was gonna say. It has something to do with because Gemini rules the lungs, okay, and it rules the vocal cords. You're going to want to talk. You're going to want to speak. A lot of people are going to be wanting to talk, and a lot of people are going to be wanting to speak in whatever area in where Gemini is. Even if you do not have planets in Gemini, even if you don't have placements specifically in Gemini, it's still going to affect you, because it's somewhere in your birth chart Gemini sits. So that Gemini part of your life is going to be activated. Also, mutable parts of your birth chart as well too. And if we're talking about mutable, that is Gemini, that is Virgo, that is Sagittarius, and that is Pisces. So you want to see what's going to be activating, because they're going to be creating squares, a little bit of tension or a little bit of transformation we can talk about in those areas of your life. Okay, look at it as a square from Gemini to Virgo to Sagittarius to Pisces squares. Okay, so look to see what's happening in that area in your charts as well. Okay, also too, we're gonna talk a little bit about let's go ahead and move into, because I know I've been talking about Gemini or whatever, but let's talk about some of the things that we're gonna see. Also at the end, we'll do all signs. That's what I forgot to mention. I'm like, did I mention something? We'll do all signs. So by rising sign, we'll talk about some of the things that could be coming up for you. That's what I forgot to say. I'm like, something is missing. Okay, so now I'm going to sit and name off some of the events that were happening during this time and during this transit. And I want you, as we are going through this, take stock and think back to what was happening in your life around June 2012 to June 25th, 2013. What was happening in your life? What was coming up for you in your life? Okay. Now I want to say personally, for me, I'm not going to go on to fully what was going on in my life. Like I said, you want to look at that podcast down below, because I did talk about a little bit of my own personal experience with Jupiter and Gemini during this time, and what was going on in my life and my world and how I was feeling and things like that. But I will say just a little tidbit. I moved 3 times. 3 times during this transit, I moved. I was in school, and also we talk about, Gemini being education. This was me transiting out of a junior college to another college to a university during this Gemini transit. yeah, I moved 3 different times to 3 different places during this span. Okay, and I also at the time was practicing Spanish. you know I had a Spanish class, and it's crazy because now I'm in a Spanish speaking country learning Spanish in the place that I'm in. So that's what I'm saying. That's how, like, it's not to say that you're going to be experiencing the same exact things as this Jupiter and Gemini transit that you had in the past, but there are going to be some running themes that are going to come up during this time. Okay, so definitely just kind of, if you need to go through some photos, if you need to go through some pictures, if you need to go back to that drive, baby, to go see what was happening, or you just know, like, really sit. I would even say maybe sit either, after this video is done, and maybe just have, like, write out like a timeline of events, like things that were happening during that time. What were you feeling during that time? What was coming up for you during this time? What are some of the things what did you experience? And if you would like to put that down in the comments below, I would love to hear your experience and things like that, or maybe some of the things that were happening, things like that, and then we could put a whole discussion and things like that. Also, if you would like to go to the Substack website, I'm gonna start a maybe Jupiter and Gemini post, and maybe pin it to my Substack on there for updates, and then we can just like have like this whole running theme of like some of the events, and they don't even have to be your personal life if you don't want to share, but just events that are happening or events that have happened during that time. So you can like comment on there and put up some of the, maybe like if you want to post articles on there and under the comments and things like that, you can do that so as well. And I'll post that link. That link will be down below too for y'all to see and things like that as well by the time this drops. Okay. So now I'm going to read off some of the events that were happening during this time. I'm just going to list these events, and then I'll talk a little bit about them afterwards, and then we'll get into the all signs. Let me put this fan on real quick. 1 second. Un momento. I was good at first, but then I started getting hot. I'm like, wait. Okay. All right. So, some of these, and they don't go in like full order or nothing like that. I'm just kind of naming off some of the things that were happening here. I'm going to stick a pin in an expansion of the travel and tourism industry, because we're going to be talking about that here. Actually, I want to start off with that first, and then I'll start with all the other stuff. So during this transit, I actually happened to find, and granted, I am getting my sources from Wikipedia. I know they told us, oh, Wikipedia is fake while we was in school. Wikipedia is fake, but y'all be pushing out fake news all the day. So what I did was I went to basically typed in 2012 major events that happened in 2012, and Wikipedia was the first thing that I had seen. So feel free to fact check. Feel free to, if you want to go in there and go see, and also too, if you want to post down below some of the things that you knew, or like I said, they could be some of the things that you experienced or some of the things that were going on in the comments. I would love for y'all to like talk about a little bit what was happening during that time, so we can all be enlightened. Also too, hit that notification bell. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe, okay? So you can stay posted when I post my videos, okay? And yeah, so come to find out, the travel industry, okay, the National Travel Tourism Strategy to get the the National Travel and Tourism. There was a strategy basically to get international visitors welcomed into the U.S. So during this time, they were trying to pull people into the U.S. They were trying to get people to come, people from international places to come to the U.S., which we're also seeing right now at this moment as Jupiter is in Taurus. But during this time, they were trying to get people to come and live in the U.S. from international places. Now, I will say the U.S. is a Sagittarius rising. So what sits on the opposite end of Sagittarius is Gemini, which hits and lands on that 7th house right across from the 1st house. And Gemini rules relationships, intimate partnerships, It's the Libra house of contractual agreements and things like that, and marital partnerships and business, all these things. So it's interesting that Jupiter is going to be transiting there specifically for America, because that means there's going to be an influx of, honestly, it's like one of these things for me. Like, I feel like they are pulling in people at this moment, but I really do believe that when Jupiter goes into Gemini, people are going to be trying to leave the US. They're going to try to flee. They're going to try to leave. There are already people leaving the US right now. I'm one of those people. I mean, I might visit, but I ain't, you know, I'm pretty much, I'm posted, you know what I'm saying, outside the country, because hell nah, I'm good. I'm trying to heal. You feel me? But anyway, all I'm saying is I do believe that people are going to be trying to leave the US. And I also wanted to say, before I get deeper into this list, that the travel industry will be changing their policies, which they've already started changing their policies. I talked a little bit about this, talking about the Sun and Uranus transit, Sun and Uranus conjunct Taurus transit video that I did live. And yeah, babe, damn, it was just, wow. Like, it just seems to me as if we are moving into times of basically what we're seeing, or what I've seen so far, is like them basically trying to raise prices when it comes to like not even raise prices around the world, but like basically you have to have set amount of dollars, or you have to have set amount of money to stay and live in these specific countries, or you have to have this kind of permission to stay here. Like, at this point right now, they're even trying to kick people out of, you know, certain areas of the world right now. You know, trying to get people out that are not from the country, you know? So like, it's, you know what I mean? So I would just say, as things start to change, especially when it comes to travel, and like I said in the live video, might want to go ahead and shift into a new direction. Maybe if you're thinking about leaving the country, I would definitely say before September. Okay, if you can leave before September, you know, if you can. I'm just saying, because I mean, Jupiter and Gemini is going to kick off the conversation about travel, but they're going to try to make it harder to leave, because they don't want people to leave. They really hate us as a people, but they don't want us to leave the US, because they ain't got their robots together just yet. So, you know, they kind of need us to be in the economy while we can at this point. But because the tides are changing, I know, y'all, I know, I'm just like, damn, looking at myself like, wow. Anyway, because the tides are changing, they're going to basically change the game, as you know, like they like to do. So let's get into it. We'll talk about that because I'm gonna do like Jupiter and Gemini, I guess, extended chats and stuff like that. And I want to do webinars as well. I'm thinking about doing webinars and stuff. I don't know. If after I finish this, just let me know if there's any like extra information that you would like to know more about in Jupiter and Gemini. Because I'm going to be talking about Jupiter and Gemini as we are transiting Jupiter and Gemini, because we got to talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, there's just so much to be talked about. So, okay, so now I'm going to read off some of the events that were happening, and then we'll jump into the signs, by rising sign, what could be coming up for you specifically. Okay, so again, Jupiter last transit was June 12th, 2012 to June 25th, 2023. Oh, whoa, 2013, okay? And so some of the things that were happening at this time, first of all, the Gregorian calendar. And we'll talk about the Gregorian calendar in another place, but I just wanted to bring up the Gregorian calendar changed during this time. Okay, and if you don't know what the Gregorian calendar is, it is a Roman Right, so crazy. We're in America. Why are we following Roman calendars? I don't know. Maybe something called colonization. Have we ever thought about that? All right. Anyway. Oh, wow. Anyway, we're going to talk about, I'm going to talk about, we're going to do a Jupiter in Gemini, and we're going to talk about the calendars, okay? Because the maps will change. Gemini has to do with travel, but it also has to do with the routes, and it also has to do with the maps, and they will change, okay? So the Gregorian calendar did change as well. Hurricane Sandy also too occurred during this time. Also too, Doomsday, or the end of Bakatun. I think it's Bakatun. Bakatun, which was the gathering at the Mayan temple, where they talked about Doomsday. So basically the end of the days, or the end of the last days of 2012. And the commemorance of the end of Bakatun was in Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, and the commemoration was also held at Chichen Itza and also Tikal. So those are some of the places that were holding the commemoration of the end, and that was in December. I think December 12th or December 21st. It was one of them days and things like that, but you could definitely look it up. And I will, in the description box, put the link to where I found this information. So if you want to go and look into it, you can as well. So definitely look at the links below, or look at the link below where I found the information. And like I said, if you want to do a little deep dive yourself, you can. Also too, NASA. Anyway, child, I'm not going to talk about that. If y'all have not seen that NASA documentary, oh God, I forget what it was on. There was a whole documentary I watched in like 2020 about the NASA documentary, bro. And it wasn't supposed to be hilarious, but I'm just like a fucking joke. Anyway, Curiosity, all right, what's it called? The Curiosity rover lands on Mars, okay? And there's been a lot of talk about space exploration and exploring, okay? Now, Gemini is the travel, right? The travel of craft, different types of traveling and things like that, specifically, and also the cars and, you know, boats and ships, which we'll talk a little bit about that as well, because a lot of them were sinking or crashing during this time. But Pluto is in Aquarius. It's retrograde right now, but Pluto is Aquarius. And so those things will also be changing, especially when we're talking about space travel, right? The unveiling of these different portals and systems to be activated. So I do believe that the great adventure and the great exploration of the expansion of maps, okay, real maps, real travel. I mean, when I say real travel, I mean uninhibited travel here. Now, I'm gonna say this as I'm talking through this stuff. I'm not trying to sound Cody, but I noticed when I did my live video and I was looking back at the live video that I did, there were some things that I mentioned that for some reason just started to kind of glitch as I was talking about those things, specifically when it had to do with barter and trade. Okay, so there's some things that I'm going to be talking about them, but you know, catch my drift in some of the things also too that I'm talking about, because obviously, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Curiosity rover lands on Mars, and then we also had Sandy Hook. Rest in peace to those that were involved in the elementary school shooting at Sandy Hook. Also, too, Trayvon Martin was 2012 as well, and his murder case was there as well. Also, too, we have it's called the God particle, which was discovered by CERN, and it said it revolutionized quantum physics. Was discovered during this time. We also have the Voyager 1, which is the space probe that becomes the first human-made subject to successfully exit the solar system, okay? I will say that space exploration Now, what we thought we have seen in terms of space exploration is not exactly what space exploration really is, okay? We have been lied to about space, okay? And there is so much beyond the walls of society that is going to be discovered in this time. We are in a new era. We're in a new era of exploration, a new era of discover and wonder in lands and species. Okay. We'll talk about that in another video. Okay. But we're in a new place now. All right. We're in new times now. All right. Also to the also to the 19 case. The 19 case at this time by the World Health Organization was discovered in Saudi Arabia. Okay. You know, like I said, feel free to fact check me. Just got this information off the net. Okay. Also, next, okay, okay, let me go to this little page. Okay. I got a couple more to talk about, and then we'll get into the all signs. Hold on. Okay. Also, too, Barack Obama was reelected during this time. We had the Railies. The Railies launches the Operation Pillar of Defense against the Palestinians. Okay. During this time, and that was an all-out war and massacre in this particular area in time. Like these things that we're seeing globally now is just being recorded now, okay? But some of this stuff, a lot of the majority of this stuff has been happening over centuries. Now we just have new technologies, okay? So now that we are aware of what we are aware of, what are we going to do with the information at hand? Okay? And that is what's going to also be coming up with this exploration, this new discoveries. Those things are also going to be opened up during this time, okay? Also too, typhoons in the Philippines. Scientists using 3D printers to grow lab-grown ears for patients with trauma or amputations. So 3D printing, 3D printers. I want to go into 3D printing, not me like going into like, but it's so much. Like they're using 3D printers to build homes now, and they're like, oh my God, it's you know, it'll provide us with like people to like give, you know, homes to the homeless and stuff like that. I think I'm just a firm believer, and maybe I used to be like an architect or something in my past life. I don't know. I feel like maybe I am. Maybe I was with Gemini. I have Gemini in my 4th house with Mars there. You know, working with my hands, building stuff. Something. I just feel and believe that even though technology is a beautiful and useful tool for some things, in some cases, I just think that touching ground and building things, okay, I just believe it's like, how do I say this? Like, what am I trying to say right now? It's just like, to me, there's a love that goes into building a home. Like a home to me is not just a home, okay? Like taking the time out to build something that like not only is just like for the look of it, but like, you know, you have your family, you have your friends, you have memory. Like homes are living things, okay? And so 3D printing to me just takes the love out of homes being built to be touched and to be created by nature. And I know technology is also, because it's been created by something of, I guess, a fragment of nature. I just feel like there's something about the hands, the vessel touching ground. And I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I don't know. I got my own opinions on it. We'll talk about that in another video. Maybe we do like an astro chat or stuff like that. Whatever. But anyway, next. Also too, The researchers from the Oregon Health and Science University describe production for human embryonic stem cells by cloning as well. And if you don't know what the embryo, of course, we talk about the kids and the babies, okay, specifically, but stem cell research is a huge thing, and I would advise you to look into stem cell research and what is happening with stem cell research, especially when it comes to the sea, in people, in humans, in bodies, okay, as well. That's coming out about those things. I'm not going to get too deep into it here, but also, yes. Also too, what is this? One of the, what did I put here? One of the biggest tornadoes ever recorded hits El Reno as well. So Gemini also rules the wind. It's mutable air, which I think I didn't talk about at the beginning, but it's mutable air. Okay. Mutability is always moving. It's moving over here, it's moving over there. Gemini is air. So drastic winds, hurricanes, just, we might start to see more, which we're seeing it now, but we're starting to see more prefabricated disasters, right, in nature, clashing with these prefabricated disasters as well. Things also being opened up and revealed because of the wind, the strong winds, or the strong, water levels being brought up and down, and the new things being revealed that might have been buried or hidden as well with this Jupiter and Gemini transit. Also too, we have a former agent, okay, that discusses operations of the mass surveillance by the governments, and basically put that information on brand and told some local news reporters, and the information got widespread, and the man was sent to Russia in an asylum. Okay, so I mean, we already know that we're being masked. Shout out to my FBI agent watching this right now, or CIA agent watching this, CIA agent, whatever, watching this right now. What's up? But the uncovering of this is also happening as well, especially as we have Pluto in retrograde during this time. Like, how much are we actually being surveillanced and monitored on a day-to-day basis? There is a documentary about this. I'm going to have to look for it, but if I find it, I will definitely put it in the comments below. It talks about all the ways in which we are surveillanced in America, and yeah, so that's there. And then also too, a lot of shipwrecks were happening during this time. So not just weather, but shipwrecks were also happening and occurring during this particular transit. Just a lot of ships going under sea, crashing. And I know you're probably like, well, what does, Gemini have to do with the water? Well, Gemini has to do with the air, and the air holds water, okay? So not only that, I know a lot of people have been talking about like cloud seeding and all that kind of stuff, but ships and cargo is mercurial. Ships and boats are mercurial. It's traveling. It's getting one thing from one thing to another thing, all right? Also too, clearance, I talked about that, like having or needing access and information to go from state to state or go from place to place. And I'm not just talking about in the borders, I'm talking about in America, and I'm talking about in other places as well, like needing clearance in certain places. Granted, like I said in the live, I'm not saying that we're spelling that into our reality, but I am saying that it is highly possible that these things could be happening, okay? An expansion of these things. Documents, you need extra papers, you need extra documents to go to this place or go to that place, and things like that. And also too, I like to say that Gemini also rules the pirates as well, especially with like this hint of Pluto and Aquarius happening, like the rebels, the rebels with the cause, people are kind of going out their own way and things like that. So I'm gonna see the rise of people kind of leaving society, leaving the you know, leaving, I feel like, certain points of society. I'm going to talk about this in a second. Let me just finish up with this last bit of thing. Oh, no. I think I'm done. And then we're going to move into, we'll move into all signs. Some of the predictions that I have here, and then we'll move into here. Okay, well, one thing beyond the switcheroo of, as we're seeing a lot of our phones, and the resources that it takes to make our phones, the resources, even like, using day-to-day things like Google, like even me, I don't know about y'all, but all the stuff that's coming out, which we knew, but now it's just like public knowledge. People leaving like Google, people, for example, leaving like their emails behind, leaving their, even social media, some of these social media platforms, like we're starting to see people leave Facebook. We're starting to see people leave Instagram. Like they're trying to shut down TikTok now. Like, so there'll be new independent forms of journalism arising and coming up during this time as well. Indie films, indie, journalism and things like that. Like people sharing their own stories through different platforms. Gemini also has to do with the records. Now, I could say this about Capricorn in Cancer as well, like time and travel, but Gemini also has to do with like the physical, like paper records and things like that we use to hold memory, and so those things can also be coming up during this time as well. Like, how are we, preservation, and how are we preserving our knowledge and our stories, and uncovering new stories as well that are happening here. And there was something else that I was going to talk about before I got my Gemini on and completely lost my train of thought. Alliances will also be formed during this time with Jupiter and Gemini. We're going to see tribes, especially, like I said, Pluto's in Aquarius too. So tribes being formed, the South Node is in Libra. So it could be like past life karmic, North Node is in Aries until January 11th, 2025, and the South Node is in Libra till January 2025. So I don't know, this year of Jupiter and Gemini, I feel like into January 11th, 2025 feels like a lot of people meeting, because Libra, I say this because Libra rules like partnerships, and because it's in the South Node energy, to me this just feels like, karmic partners, people that you probably met in like a previous incarnation or whatever, just people that you feel, again, are like, people that you met for better, for worse, but it's definitely something to note that this could definitely be coming up for you during this time as well. Also too, I think I talked about music. New artists will be emerging during this time, bands, especially specifically like people making their own beats, like making their own sound, new sounds, because Gemini to me talks a lot about frequencies too. So I think there's going to be a lot of sound healing, the rise of like Reiki healers, or people that do, certain things with their hands or their voices, or like I said, singing voices and things like that. Doing like, playing the guitar, strums and things like that. A lot of writers, if it's not media, like specifically talking and things like that. Long form media, even though Gemini is short, it's a very short term, or not short term, like a short attention span with Jupiter and Gemini. It'll go from like one thing to the next thing. I do believe that there's going to be a very, people are going to be craving, like, what I'm seeing? Back in the day, like old YouTube, like where it wasn't like super duper fabricated, like people were just cutting on the cameras and like recording and just talking or whatever and just recording like their life, and it feels like that, like just I don't know. I'm kind of getting a 90s vibe to it. Like, I don't know why I'm getting like this just, you know, back of the booth, you know, TV show, local performances kind of thing going on where people like showcasing their talent or their arts or they're speaking about different things. Even our meeting places are going to change because, you know, Gemini is also where you're meeting or exchanging information with people. So our meeting places where we're meeting and things like that are will shift and will change. Our attention, our focus is going to be a little bit different here. It was another thing that I was going to say too. Independent books, media as well will be coming out. People just kind of going independent, brick and mortar as well. Print is going to be another thing that's coming up as well. The rise of print again. Shoot, it was something else I was gonna say and I just forgot it because I was like, I don't know. If it comes back to me, I'll come back to it. But I am going to go ahead and start into the all signs. So first we'll start off with Jupiter in the first house and what that will mean. So if you are a Gemini rising, this is what this is going to be meaning for you. Okay. So if Jupiter is going to be transiting your first house, you could be feeling a little restless at this time. You could feel like, you know, because first house is like the physical body. You could feel like you need to be moving a lot, like physically moving a lot. I would definitely recommend with Jupiter in Gemini during this energy, if you could work out, if you could get physical, move your body around, you know what I'm saying? Maybe if it's not a workout routine, you need to be moving, you need to be dancing so you can rest. You know what I mean? So like maybe getting up in the morning, you know, doing like a good workout or something like that. You know, you just not, when I say exhausting, I'm not saying that you have to exhaust your entire body, but what I am saying is that, you know, just getting into a groove where during the day, you know, you're able to like get that energy up off you. So by the nighttime you can like rest. I'm thinking about, you know what I'm thinking about is when, you know, when you hear somebody be like, oh, you know, when a little kid is like running and jumping around and eating this and eating that, and somebody says, oh, they gonna sleep good tonight. They gonna sleep good tonight. That's what I'm thinking about with Jupiter going through your first house for sure. Also too, you could feel very multifaceted. You're probably already a multifaceted being in general, but you could just feel like you want to explore and do so many things at one time. Like you're like, okay, I want to try this, I want to do this. Allow yourself to do that. Allow yourself to have like this Geminian like wonder, you know, of, you know, exploring different things that maybe you haven't explored, or maybe coming back to things that you used to do even as a kid. You know, really getting into the groove of like allowing yourself to like play and experience and explore here. Your worldview might even change during this time. Maybe you've always been like, so I've heard somebody just say, my worldview is changing all the time. You just might find that like you have like this mental shift, because you know Gemini rules the mind, and so you just might have a mental shift. Maybe you have some type of experience, or you come in contact with like a group of people or whatever the case may be, and they just change your perspective on things, you know what I mean? So one way that you used to, you know, kind of understand or deal with something, like I'm kind of thinking about this like this now, you know. Also too, needing and wanting to communicate, speak, and express more. You could find yourself wanting to like dive into new mediums of expression. So maybe let's say that you, I don't know, you were a painter or a musician, you know, and now you're like, actually I want to do pottery, you know, because Gemini rules the hand. So like now I want to make, you know, pottery or something like that, or you know, I want to, I don't know, drive across the country. Now, granted, you know, that's more third, fourth house, maybe even ninth house energy, but like doing something physically with the hands, you might notice that you change like your modality of expression during this time. Also too, you could be, let's say Gemini focusing on the facts. Let's talk about it. Gemini, I'll say this for Gemini in the first house. It is okay to debate your ideas, okay? It is okay to express your ideas. It is okay to debate your ideas and what it is that you believe in. But if there are people around you, which Gemini is usually pretty good at, like, kind of adjusting to their environment, you know what I mean? Like, but they can argue you down at the same time, right? So, like, just, especially because you're going to have opposition forming to your 7th house in Sagittarius, you know, just be careful of, like, the soapboxy energy of, like, I know. Like, yes, you do know, but you can also learn more, right? Or be open to maybe a new perspective, you know, and just kind of allowing things to flow in that kind of sense here. You could even find yourself wanting to, like, learn new things or take on new skills and stuff like that, even if it's not just like a creative form of expression. But then again, everything is, like, really creative in general too. But, you know, you could just find yourself wanting to, like, really explore in that as well. Also too, you could just feel very childlike, very social at this time. You could feel yourself wanting to be a busybody. I would just say, especially with this transit, because you could feel a very busybody, which is nothing wrong with being that busybody. Just try to take time for yourself, okay? Try to ground and, like, find balance between you and others, because you could be feeling this energy of, like, wanting to be and things like that, but it can also, you know, deplete your energy as well. So just take time when you are wanting to be social, you know, just having that balance of taking time to, like, recoup and, you know, be in your own energy and stuff like that as well too. We also have might feel uncomfortable. Yeah, if you aren't usually, like, super duper expressive and like just kind of out there, you know, with your energy, you could feel really uncomfortable during this time because it might feel like you're being pushed to be that. Like, you might feel like, dang, I feel like I gotta kind of, you know, push myself to be, you know, in this kind of energy, or like something's pushing you to, like, express more or talk more, or maybe pushing you into, like, a new creative endeavor that has to do with the hands or your speaking voice and things like that. You could just feel a little shifty. You feel a little shifty about that, a little shifty. So, but it's going to be happening because Jupiter is in Gemini for you. Now, if you happen to have Jupiter transiting your 2nd house, so this would be for the Taurus rising. Yeah, this would be Taurus rising here. I'm going to put the things here. This would be specifically for Taurus rising. Then you are going to start to feel, or could feel, either an abundance of material gains with Jupiter and Gemini expanding here, or you can feel like your resources are being depleted at this time, okay? You can feel like you're spending this money here and then it's going back out. You're spending this money here and then it's going back out. And like, you can just feel like, you know, or if you have, like, a car or something like that, and now your car is broken down and now you have to expend this energy and things like that. And if you're looking at this and you are a Taurus rising, you're like, wait, what? Like, wait. I'm just saying, if you need to get something fixed, or you've been meaning to get something fixed, especially when it comes to a car, and I say this because Gemini rules transportation, and then 2nd house is your possessions and your material things and your own personal value as well. This could be things that are like cell phones, cars, whatever forms of communication could be, like, expanding. So, you know what I mean? And Gemini is like, do. You could just have an expansion also too in your material gains and resources, and it doesn't just necessarily have to be financially. You could feel like your sense of value or your sense of self is also expanding during this time. You could feel really, like, I don't know, just really open, wanting to even give more. So maybe you have, like, a lot coming in, so you're just, like, wanting to give, or maybe you're giving away some of the things, old things that you used to have and stuff like that. You can also see this here as well. Also too, I would say, because you do have Libra in the 6th house, you just want to find balance, especially when it comes to your health, okay? Because the South Node is still here until January 11th. So just try to find some type of equilibrium and balance in the health department, because baby, it could feel, you know, it could be a lot, you know, with Jupiter, you know, transiting here specifically. in that second house. So try to find balance, mental health and also physical health here too. Becoming more content with what you have, definitely. Just kind of feeling like this overall, like, okay, like, all right, you know, we good over here. You know what I mean? Your value shifting at this time. So maybe some of the things that you used to value in the past, now you are changing your perspective in that. You're like, actually, I really don't value these things. I kind of want to live this kind of lifestyle now. I kind of want to just have these things, or really going over like what really is important to you in this time of this Jupiter Gemini transit as well too. You also could be changing your line of work. You could be changing your job or the ways in which you make money on a day-to-day basis, because second house is like quick, fast, hurry, money kind of things going on here. So you could be changing your line of work at this time as well too, especially with Jupiter here. Or there could be opportunities outside of wherever you're doing on a day-to-day basis that are expanding in this area of your life. Also too, less attention towards the material, or there's more attention towards the material also. Well, here's where Jupiter wants to expand. And then just focus on mental and spiritual health, especially because North Node and Chiron is still in Aries in 2024. So, and that's in your 12th house. So you could just find that maybe you're just taking a lot of more time to really focus on your mental capacities and working through maybe some trauma, or maybe just working through some things that have happened. Okay, now Jupiter is transiting your third house. Jupiter and Gemini is transiting your third house. This would make you I think, is it Cancer rising? I'm sorry, I did not write this down. Is it Cancer rising? Let me see. No, that's not Cancer rising. Hold on, wait a minute. Jupiter in the third house. Let's go back. This is Aries. We're going back. Sorry, y'all. Aries. Then we're going to Pisces. And we're going to Aquarius. I'm just writing these down real quick. Now, as I'm writing these down, Jupiter in Aries is going to be expanding that communication voice, is going to be expanding that damn throat chakra. Okay, you might be feeling froggy during this time with the third house, or Jupiter transiting through that third house. You gonna be speaking down, babe. You gonna be speaking down. It's gonna be a lot flying about that mouth with Jupiter in Gemini. You might find your thoughts, specifically your speech, just a lot going on. Like you might be like, damn, I don't know why I just can't shut up. Like, I don't know why, like, I just want to talk. 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 And I don't know, like, you might just feel like this need to like overly communicate. You might even find yourself like wanting to like overshare as well too here with Jupiter and Gemini. Yeah, just talking a lot. You could also move during this time because third house rules neighborhoods. It's the Gemini house of like neighborhoods, your immediate environment. So as an Aries rising, you could find that you're ended up moving or needing or having to move to another location as well here too. You could be traveling to different places. You could be moving. Like I said, if it's not like you're physically moving to another place, which I don't know, I just see, you know, Aries risings moving or having to move to another area or having to move another location. Maybe you're just taking trips to different places, you know, kind of just on the go, or and things like that with Aries rising as well. More opportunities as well that you are going to be initiating because the North Node is in Aries. So you're just going to want to be, you know, it's going to be forming this sextile to Gemini. So you're going to want to like, I don't know, I'm just hearing boss up, you know, like boss up in your own right, like whatever that looks like to you, just really being in a space where you're, you know, taking charge, taking the reins, making stuff happen for yourself and things like that as well too. Studying something new as well. Maybe you go back to school, or maybe you're experimenting. Specifically, again, Gemini rules the hands. So maybe you're experimenting with all types of stuff that you could be experimenting with. This is the cooking. This is the potteries and the artisans, and just experimentation. You could even be collaborating with people, specifically because Jupiter also, our third house is like maybe family members, because it's like uncles, sisters, brothers, cousins, like your immediate relatives and things like that. So you could be collaborating. Maybe you're putting out some type of book or writing a book or something like that during this time as well. As again, let me know in the comments what is going on, or what y'all have been feeling like is coming up for you during this time as well too. Or if you're watching it in the future, as you're going through this transit, let me know what's been coming up for you during this time. Also too, learning a new language could also be coming up. Maybe you're traveling to a different place and the language is different than what you speak, and so you're like, okay, well, let me learn a new language, let me learn a new thing, whatever. You also can feel quite sometimes a little mentally unstable during this transit as well too, because Jupiter, it expands all this energy, and so you have all this energy, but you're looking for an outlet for it to go. So I would definitely say, if you can, during this time, like, find you something to do. And it doesn't have to do anything with involvement with money or whatever, but find you something that you can, like, find things that you can put your energy into, but also take time to, like, rest and recoup and things like that. But it has to come out of here. It has to come out of the mind. So find things that can help you take that energy from the mental into, like, this physical reality here, because you can feel like I'm going crazy. It's like all these ideas, I have all these things going on. So definitely keep that in mind as well too. Also mentally overstimulated. So I put, get in the body, get out of your head, spend more time in your surroundings. You could find yourself, like, exploring, like, the neighborhoods that you're in. You could be coming off in new places, like finding new places, like, dang, I was walking down the street and I found this place that I've never seen before. So you could see that as well happening as well too. And also too, getting to know more of your relatives and family members. You could even, kind of like Jupiter going through the fourth house, be exploring, like, your family and your roots, or things could be uncovering, messages could be uncovering, because Gemini is the messenger, about your familial roots or neighborhood that you are in. Now, if you're a Pisces rising and you have Gemini transiting through your fourth house, this can be transformative in your home life and domestic life. This can be transformation, maybe extended family members, or stimulate extended family, or maybe you're planning for a family, or maybe you have new family coming into your life, or maybe you end up purchasing a home, okay, during this time. Finding emotional fulfillment in this part of your sky, in this part of your life, is definitely, that could be, it's definitely could be having to have a little low battery. Hold on, is it? Let me see how low it is. Okay, it's 20. All right, we just want to make sure we good. Your family dynamic and things like that, digging up your roots, where you come from, where you've been as well too, releasing conditioning as well, and spiritual blockages as Jupiter goes through Gemini. Desires to live in a bigger home or place. So maybe you're changing where you're living, or maybe you're upgrading the place that you're living in and things like that. And more things start to accumulate around the home and family. Maybe you start to connect with community members or family members in a different way. Definitely your mental as well will be expanding. And I know it's like the home, but, like, I feel like your home is a physical, I feel like the home is a physical manifestation of your mind. And now, slightly, you know what I mean? But the way your home is and the energy of your home is a manifestation of your mental, or how you're feeling in your emotions and things like that. So those things could also be clearing out and renewed, and maybe you're making new upgrades to the home and things like that. Also, too, your sense of well-being will be fulfilled, or having more fulfillment in your sense of well-being as well, too. And it's the essentials, like really just getting back to the basics, you know, taking better care of your body, taking better care of your temple, okay? And not just, like I said, the physical home, but your internal world. Really taking time. Maybe you know, spend time going to like retreat spaces, or, you know, getting like the massages and stuff, or, you know, it just, this time can feel very joyous. Or maybe you're like doing things from home, working from home, or doing, maybe you're studying or learning something new also too, could be happening from home. And travel is also a big thing as well. So if you're not physically moving somewhere, you could be traveling a lot during this time of this transit, okay? Now, if you happen to have Jupiter in the 5th house, this is for the Aquarius rising. What you will begin to see is Jupiter in Gemini will be, I feel like, giving you a sense of childlike wonder during this time and energy. You would feel very playful at this time, especially because this is, you know, we're going to be having Pluto, you know, making connections in retrograde to this energy. Like, I just feel like the ways in which you're experiencing pleasure is going to shift and change during this time as well too. Your sense of fun, your sense of creativity is also shifting here as well too. I would definitely recommend pick up some type of art practice or music. You could also get pregnant at this time, whether that's like an actual physical project or actually like getting pregnant at this time. Maybe you could be welcoming in some children, some babies during this transit as well. Making things, very expressive. Also too, I said, if you're looking to get pregnant during this time, definitely so. And also just be careful, I would definitely say, because, you know, 5th house is risk taking, gambling. Also too, you could be getting a new pet at this time. And I'll get to messenger pets, right? Or messenger, I like to say messenger companions, okay? Birds, or cats, or dogs. I guess all, you know, I would say all animals are messengers in a sense, but because Gemini rules air, this could be like I said, for example, a bird or something like that, something that like flies, I don't know, or maybe, or a fish, you know, like something that has like wings, or, you know, something like that. You could be getting that as well too in this time. I was saying be careful with like drugs and alcohol, or just any forms of escapism as well, because there's just a lot of activity going on with Jupiter and Gemini, and it can just feel like you're just like on go, go. So like, just be careful of like overextending or overdoing it in this part of the sky, in this part of your chart, because, you know, risk taking, gambling, not to say you can't take any risk, but like you could kind of overdo it maybe in like the alcohol department, or maybe like, you know, experimental drugs and stuff like that. You kind of go over the line and things like that. So all I'm saying is just be aware, all right? This is a great time of also too, you know, because it's like romantic life, so you could maybe have some new partnerships. And if it's not like, you know, because 5th house is more flirty, you know, and things like that, you could just find yourself, I would even say like feeling yourself during this time, or starting to feel yourself again, or just meeting like romantic, or being in romantic encounters, and just having and experiencing that romance within yourself as well too. And if you're not pregnant, or getting pregnant, or thinking about getting pregnant at this time, or having a kid at this time, you could just be spending time around kids. Maybe you teach kids or something like that, because Jupiter is the teacher. So maybe you're getting into something that you're, you know, teaching kids, or, you know, learning and stuff like that. Maybe just spend time around kids if you're not doing one of those things, but spending time around kids and things like that will definitely help you out as well. They have messages for you. The kids have messages, so pay attention to what the kids are saying at this time. Being in the sun, experiencing joy and pleasure also as well is another thing that you could be experiencing during this transit. Now, if you happen to have Jupiter in the 6th house, this Capricorn rising, and you could see health issues arise with Jupiter in the 6th house. Okay. Now, Jupiter is usually something that we see as a force of good luck, if you will, or, serendipitous kind of energy, wishful, and also just could be a beautiful energy. So maybe your health is improving, but maybe health issues, if you've had a health issue in this area of your life, maybe like those things are expanding now. And maybe you find, with Jupiter in your sixth house, like maybe those things start to get really good. Maybe they start to get better. Especially if you're like taking care of it. If you're really taking care of the health issue, no worries, babe. You'll be fine. Don't even worry about it. You'll trust me. You'll be fine. You'll be all right. I don't know why I'm thinking, are you down? Are you down? Are you all the way down? You'll be fine. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Anyway, getting physical is the key to wellness. Also, too, shifting in routines. We have day-to-day environments and things like that, so your routines could be changing. Like I said, please, Capricorn rising, get physical, get out the house, get you some sun if you can. Listen to some music, dance, anything. Get physical. Climb on a pole, I don't know, or a tree. Get physical, all right? Move that energy out. Move the stress out your body. You just had a Pluto in Capricorn transit on that ascendant, so you need to get shit out. You need to get moving and hot and, move that energy off that body. Capricorn rules the bones. So you got to shake that load off, shake that load off, shake that load off, shake that load off. You know what I mean? So definitely look into that as well. Also, too, having a solid foundation is going to be, you might feel a little wobbly at this time, okay? But just allow things to flow. Everything's okay, all right? Your day-to-day things might be changing a little bit, but Capricorn, being a Capricorn rising, you're meant to understand the energy of chaos and peace, especially with Gemini in that sixth house of yours, okay? Also, too, wanting, what does it say? Wanting to explore, but can feel locked. Yeah. Jupiter, because Jupiter is expanding in that sixth house, like sixth house has to do with like your day-to-day routines. So like you're wanting to like go off and do these things, but like you're kind of having to like get the routine going. Like you need a routine, but it's like, but Gemini's all over the place. Like, how do I would just say you have to find something that actually works for you. So for example, let's say if we're talking about working out, let's say you can't, it's hard for you to stick to like a day-to-day routine where you're doing the same things over and over again. Okay, so maybe throughout the week, you're like, okay, this day I'm just gonna focus on doing like yoga. This day I'm just gonna focus on dancing. This day I'm just gonna focus on this particular workout routine. Like you can make it fun. And that's why Gemini is in the sixth house. You can make it fun. You just have to figure out a ways to ground and commit to those things, especially if it has to do in terms with your health, or switching foods. Maybe you're eating this type of food and you're like, okay, well, I still want to eat this food, but maybe I can trade it out for this, or I still want snacks, but instead of having the snacks here, because Gemini rules what you're putting in or you're ingesting. It's like Taurus, where you're putting in the mouth and you ingest it in your throat. Maybe I'll do this instead. Or maybe you're wanting, you're an artist or something like that. You're just like, okay, well, I'm going to just practice writing lyrics every day, or I'm going to make a little beat, things like that can happen here. Also, too, may crave order. So you may crave like order in your immediate environment, needing order in your immediate environment in that way. Make it how you want, because if you don't, you're going to feel like you're going crazy. Cater it to how you want and stick to it, because you're going to feel like you are going crazy if you don't. And I know Virgo gets the rap of like wanting things to be a certain way and in order, but Gemini also needs things to be in order and likes things to be in some type of order in order to function, in order to like, it could feel chaotic mentally, but like it's physical space, you need it to have some type of order. You're going to want to have it in order here. Focus on self-improvement as well. Now, if you have Jupiter in the 7th house, Jupiter transiting the 7th house with Sagittarius rising, you're going to see an expansion in relationships. okay? You're going to see oh, that's so crazy. I was just thinking about her. You're going to see expansion in relationships, expanding your, what did I put? Oh, expanding your horizons. You could be expanding your horizons with people that you know, like groups of people and, things like that. People that maybe other people are taking you on like these adventures and these journeys and things like that. And like, oh my God, you should come with us. Da, 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 da. And you're like, oh yeah, let me actually see what that's about. Let me go to whatever. Da, da, da. New experiences, new partnerships, lots of engagement with others as well here too. Experiencing relationships that mirror you, because Gemini is that twin energy, so you might experience a lot of relationships that come into your life that mirror these either past parts of yourself, hidden parts of yourself, that bring these different sides out of you as well that you didn't know over there, but they're there. Okay, you could also see that as well here too. You could even get into a partnership or a marriage or relationship, or even a contractual business partnership with someone at this time. Just be careful of, what I say, be careful of outside. Oh, too much on outside focus, like a busybody. It's kind of like Jupiter in the first house too, like just wanting to be out. There's nothing wrong with being out, but like, not taking time for yourself could literally drain you at this time, especially because Jupiter expanding that Gemini energy, it could just feel like a lot. So make sure you're just taking time for yourself to like recoup and things like that as well here too. Creative collaborations where you're able to use your hands, getting into like an apprenticeship as well can also be something, or a mentorship. Maybe you gain a new mentor or something like that that's like a messenger, and it could be like a messenger that you don't expect. Okay, and also because Gemini is like the twins, and also it's like that childlike energy. So like mentors could come in so many forms, or teachers can come in so many forms. Okay, maybe it's like a message that you've seen on the street, from that to like something like a kid said. You're learning from like a child, and it doesn't have to be that. I'm just saying, like, just know that like messengers are going to be coming into your life, so just keep an eye out on that. Now, if you have Jupiter going through your 8th house, and this is going to be for Scorpio risings, this is going to be a transit where, because 8th house is the Scorpio house of like this hidden energy, this is where we see like, what is it called? Other people's money, inheritances. This is where you also see like hidden fears, the psychology, the hidden parts of the self lie in here. Also to intimacy, sex, or sexual, co-creative, sacral chakra energy is also here too. Getting intimate with others, but also getting intimate with different parts of yourself, and also hidden energy as well here, like I said again. Now, I feel like Jupiter in Gemini is going to really open you up to explore the depths of your internal power that lies within you. You just came out of the South Node in Scorpio last year, so I'm pretty sure it was a lot. All right, hitting that ascendant. So Jupiter in Gemini is going to open you up in ways that you might be a little uncomfortable with at first, like these new forms of the ways in which you're expressing yourself. There might be things that start to kind of like come out or come up to the surface, that you're now like addressing and having to address at this current state in this current time. You can also see like exploring like your intimate parts of yourself, getting connected back to yourself intimately and even sexually as well. I would just say at this time, because all these things are opening up internally and you're in a vulnerable state, I'm not telling you what to do with your body, and I'm not telling you how and what to do. I'm just saying that, I'm not saying that you have to be celibate per se, or go on like this vow of celibacy. I would just say, especially because like this energy of Jupiter expanding is going to be unfolding, Just be careful of who you are sharing yourself with intimately, okay? I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying just be careful of who you are sharing yourself with intimately, because you are in a very vulnerable place. You know, you're exploring the depths of your power, and depending on who you're sharing with, it could go some ways, especially with Jupiter and Gemini, okay? So just keep that in mind when it comes to, you know, when you are like really exploring like these depths of yourself and things like that, and all these things start to pour out. And I'm not even just talking about sexually, but just intimately. Like, and I'm not talking about just intimacy and like romance, but just intimate connections with people that you are getting to know. Just, you know, be choosy with this energy of like who's able to come in and who's able to, because like I said, you're going to just be very raw at this time. It's going to feel very vulnerable, and you need people around you and need experiences that are going to be able to hold that vulnerability here. Definitely exploring hidden parts of your psyche, your resources, different resources coming to you through other people as well, your security, how you feel safe and when you feel safe, shared resources, birth and death. You could be experiencing a rebirth, or you're going through a rebirth process. That's why I said you could be feeling a little raw and vulnerable at this time with Jupiter going through this area. You could gain, like I said, shared resources from other people and things like that. You could be given something from maybe like an inheritance. An inheritance doesn't necessarily have to be from family. This can be contractual agreements, because the eighth house rules contractual agreements as well. It rules the law. It rules like the court systems and things like that. Granted, ninth house can kind of slide into that as well too, but like these are good agreements. So you can be getting inheritances from people, maybe from like even past lives and things like that, or maybe something that was owed to you in a previous incarnation that you're supposed to be getting in this incarnation as well too. Be careful with substance abuse and sex, also as a form of escapism. Because Jupiter and Gemini is opening all these things, you could want to feel like you need to escape, because it could be a lot. It can be, you could feel like it's a bit much. And so just be aware, because your mind, your mental, your psyche is like expanding. These intimate parts of yourself are like coming up to the surface. So you could feel, in order to suppress those things, you want to go to, and it doesn't just have to be substance abuse and sex, but I'm just talking about this because, I mean, eighth house has to do with these things specifically, you know, especially when it comes to like sex and intimacy and things like that. But it can be any forms of like hidden things that you do to escape from the feelings that are coming up, okay? And Gemini wants to kind of mentally, it's a thought process, like think about things versus like feel into those things. But now this is like the time where you're gonna have to like feel into like the depths of you. It's not to say that Gemini doesn't feel, they feel, but their mental capacities sometimes overpower the feelings, okay? So they kind of like, you know, their emotional state is, they're moving through the mental mind and then through the body, if that makes any sense. Okay, so that's Jupiter in the 8th house. Jupiter in the 9th house is for the Libra risings. So we have expansion of knowledge, because 9th house rules, it's the Sagittarius house of deep exploration abroad. So you could be moving abroad, you could be studying abroad, you could be learning a new language, maybe you're putting out some type of book or publishing a book, foreign trade, okay? Or you can be maybe creating something that reaches something in a foreign land or a foreign country or a foreign place, or ends up taking you to a foreign land, foreign country, or foreign place. Because they're taking a new class, new place, going overseas, visiting overseas. Maybe you start teaching, or maybe you start some type of mentorship program here with Jupiter going through Gemini. Forming many opinions. There are many new opinions, old opinions being like brought back, like just a lot of mental opinions. Your perspectives around education also will change during this time with Jupiter and Gemini going through that ninth house. You also can see a need to communicate and express yourself through writing, through creativity as well here too. Foreign trade, of course, I said learning a new language. Relatives also too, specifically your relatives. I know ninth house doesn't necessarily have to do with that, but like teachers, messengers and teachers. I would just say something is telling me to say with this going through, because, you know, Jupiter is like this guru kind of energy. You know, just have discernment with the teachers that are in your life, the messenger spirits that are in your life. You can listen to the message without like fully putting your all into the message itself, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't really, I'm trying to think about how to say this. It's like, just discern the teachers that come into your life during this time, because Gemini, even though it's factual, sometimes the facts can be skewed depending on the messenger. So it's going to be up to you to be able to decipher what is that and what is not. Okay. All right. Next, we have Jupiter in the 10th house, and that is for Virgo rising. You can definitely see, especially because 10th house rules your career, and, you know, tropical Western astrology, but we're talking about the foundation, your public image, and your mission and vision in this lifetime, your purpose. Okay, what are you leaving behind? All right, so your expansion of like what it is that you want to do, your legacy in this time could be, you could really start to get like, okay, you know what, I kind of want to do this. Like now I really want to make an impact, you know, because Virgo wants to be of service, right? So how can I be of service in these ways? And this is by communicating, you know, by messaging. So maybe you make a book at this time, or maybe you're putting out some new works at this time, or, you know, you're communicating differently at this time. And, you know, your change of mission, vision, and purpose. Maybe you're doing public speaking or writing as well here too. You're connecting with other people, but you're also connecting with yourself. I feel like in a deeper way of like, in turn, it kind of talks about some of the things that you want to do or have always wanted to do as well here too. Expressing yourself through multiple forms of communication. It doesn't have to be speaking and writing, but different forms of communication could also be coming up during this time as well. Maybe you're just experimental, you're in the experimental phase, and you're wanting to explore and connect in these different ways as well too. Trying new things is also going to be a big thing with Jupiter in the 10th house. Also too, Virgo being on the ascendant, and then also 10th house as well here. I just see people who start to teach at this time. So if you're not putting things out, maybe you start teaching something, you know, because Virgo's on the ascendant. Maybe you're like doing like something that has to do with like holistic health or herbalism, or just like some type of writing form of expression in that kind of way here. Now, Jupiter in the 11th house is for the Leo ascendant. You can definitely see Jupiter and Gemini transiting the 11th house for the Leo ascendant. You could see an expansion of friendships during this time, new friendships being formed at this time. Joining a group, tribe, or organization could also be happening at this time. Collaborating with others, new networks being opened at this time. You could really just find yourself, and also just being in leadership positions in these group settings, especially Leo being on the ascendant. You forming these groups or meeting these groups, but then eventually becoming the leader, or just people being looked at as a leader in these groups or in a specific field as well here too. Especially, like I said, when it comes to writing, speaking, communication in some kind of way as well here too. You can also see here collaborating, I said building community, a village, your overall life purpose and mission as well here too. Shifting or stepping into something that you've always wanted to do, especially when it has to do with communication. Maybe you partner with somebody to either teach about something that has to do with like media, or you create something that has to do with media and you're sharing that with a group of people and things like that, or you're being invited to share that with a group of people as well. And also even trying new things here too is another thing. You could also see at this time that you're maybe putting yourself out more to be seen, publicly seen as well, with Jupiter going through the 11th house. And then Jupiter in the 12th house, or if Jupiter is transiting your 12th house for the Cancer rising as well here, this could be the awakening of the messenger. You could be going through a spiritual, especially internal spiritual transformation. Your dream world could be going crazy at this time. You could have prophetic dreams because Jupiter is Gemini and Jupiter are messenger gods, or energies, I should say. And so you could find yourself maybe like going into this deep exploration of your spiritual side. There could be like hidden things from like past lives that need to be cleared out during this time that could be coming up. You can be coming into new spiritual gifts as well during this time. It's the Pisces house, clearing out old subconscious things that have kept you held back. You could also be experiencing escapism here with Jupiter going through the 12th house. So just be weary of that energy, because that could be coming up for you as well, of like, you know, maybe stuff that you buried, because 12th house is literally like the attic in the house or the basement. No, I would like to say the attic. I feel like 8th house is basement, 12th house is attic. So you just want to take the time to really clear those things, and whatever's coming up for you at this time, especially when it comes to like your dreams or what you feel like is most flowing through your subconscious mind, are maybe some of the things to take a look at this time. Feeling connected to your higher self and spirit. Hidden fears, dreams emerge, or new dreams emerge. Beware of overstimulation and escapism. Expressing through communicating, and traveling to foreign place or moving to a foreign place, because 12th house is distant lands. So maybe you are wanting to move to a distant place or a distant land or a country, specifically somewhere by water, especially you being a Cancer rising. Maybe you going off to like a retreat or a spiritual center or something like that. But all in all, this is the time to embrace and expand on your spiritual beliefs, your gifts, and also, you know, clearing like old stuff that's really been blocked in that attic of your subconscious as well too. So that is what I have for Jupiter and Gemini, all signs. I hope that y'all have enjoyed this. Y'all already know what it is. Y'all make sure y'all like, share, subscribe, and please comment down below. I love y'all's comments. And y'all already know what it is. It's a rainy storm checking in, checking out. Make sure you check that description box below without a doubt. Deuces.